From $11 billion in box office losses, to empty theme parks, to a stock price in freefall, Disney isn't just struggling, it's collapsing. And some of these failures are so catastrophic, you'll be wondering how the Magic Kingdom became a financial disaster zone. Like in 2023, when Disney released 5 major films and 4 of them bombed harder than a North Korean missile test. Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny lost $134 million. The Marvels? Down $237 million. Haunted Mansion? Another $117 million crater. But if you think that's bad, just wait till you see what's happening to Disney's stock. Because in 2021, Disney shares hit $201. Today, they're hovering around $95. That's a $200 billion market cap evaporation. And it's not getting better, it's getting worse. Because Disney isn't suffering from bad luck or a rough patch. They're bleeding from 6 fatal wounds. 6 self-inflicted disasters that are killing the company in real time. And the first wound? Creative bankruptcy. Because Disney's creative engine didn't just slow down, it died. Because Disney's creative engine didn't just slow down, it died. And you can see the corpse everywhere. When's the last time Disney made something original that actually mattered? Not a sequel, not a remake, not another Marvel movie. An actual new story that captured imaginations the way The Lion King or Aladdin did in the 90s. You can't, because they stopped trying. Instead, Disney became a nostalgia strip mining operation. Between 2019 and 2024, they cranked out 15 live-action remakes of animated classics, and 12 of them lost money or underperformed. The Little Mermaid remake cost $240 million to make, earned $569 million globally. Sounds good until you realize that after marketing and theater cuts, Disney barely broke even. Pinocchio went straight to Disney Plus and got destroyed by critics. Peter Pan and Wendy? Same story. Nobody asked for these. Nobody wanted them. But Disney kept making them anyway because executives thought brand recognition equals guaranteed cash. Turns out, nostalgia doesn't guarantee anything. And it's not just the remakes. Look at Pixar. The studio that gave us Toy Story, Finding Nemo, and Up is now cranking out sequels nobody asked for and original films nobody remembers. Lightyear bombed in 2022, losing over $100 million. Elemental underperformed. Turning Red went straight to streaming. The magic is gone. Creativity has been replaced by corporate mandates and algorithm-driven content that feels designed by spreadsheet. Meanwhile, Disney's live-action division was burning cash on disasters. Strange World lost $147 million. Wish, Disney's 100th anniversary film that was supposed to celebrate everything magical about the company, it flopped hard, earning just $254 million on a $200 million budget. Disney's own birthday party bombed. And then there's Mufasa, a Lion King prequel nobody wanted. Early tracking showed it underperforming because audiences are exhausted. They're tired of Disney recycling the same stories, the same characters, the same emotional beats from 30 years ago. Compare that to Disney's golden age. Between 1989 and 1999, Disney released The Little Mermaid, Beauty and the Beast, Aladdin, The Lion King, Mulan, and Tarzan. All original, all risks, all culturally defining. That Disney is dead. The current Disney doesn't take risks. They mine the vault, slap a fresh coat of CGI on childhood memories, and pray for $1 billion return. One former Disney executive said, "We stopped asking, what story do we want to tell, and started asking, what IP can we monetize?" Talk about strip mining your own legacy. But if you think creative bankruptcy is Disney's only problem, you're missing the bigger wound. Because wound number 2 is even more toxic, and it's killing Disney's relationship with half the country. Because in March 2022, Disney picked a fight with Ron DeSantis and the state of Florida. And what happened next was corporate suicide. The issue was Florida's parental rights in education bill, which critics called the Don't Say Gay bill. Disney's CEO, Bob Chapek, initially stayed neutral. Smart move, right? Keep the company out of politics. But Disney employees revolted. Walkouts, internal petitions, leaked Zoom calls where executives promised to inject more LGBTQ content into children's programming. So Chapek caved. Disney publicly opposed the bill and pledged to fight it. And Ron DeSantis nuked them. He dissolved Disney's Reedy Creek Improvement District, which for over 50 years had let Disney World operate as essentially its own government. They controlled zoning, utilities, emergency services, everything. It saved Disney tens of millions annually. DeSantis killed it. Overnight, Disney faced over $1 billion in new tax liabilities and lost autonomy over their own property. One political stance cost them $1 billion advantage. But the damage went deeper. Disney alienated half their customer base. Conservative families who'd spent generations going to Disney World now saw the company as hostile to their values. Boycott movements spread. Trust in the Disney brand among Republicans collapsed from 68% in 2021 to 33% in 2023. That's a 35-point drop in 2 years. And progressives weren't happy either. They saw Disney's LGBTQ initiatives as performative corporate rainbow washing. Too little, too late, only after employees forced their hand. So Disney managed to anger both sides. Conservatives saw them as woke propagandists. Progressives saw them as cowardly capitalists pretending to care. The box office reflected it. Lightyear featured a same-sex kiss and got banned in 14 countries, including Saudi Arabia and the UAE. It bombed domestically too, losing over $100 million. Strange World featured Disney's first openly gay teen protagonist, lost $147 million. Were these films bad because of LGBTQ content? Maybe not, but Disney gave audiences a reason to skip them before they even opened. Half the country avoided them on principle. The other half didn't care enough to show up. One former Disney executive said, "We forgot that families just want to be entertained. They don't want to be lectured." Talk about shooting yourself in both feet. But while Disney was fighting culture wars and bleeding goodwill, they were also hemorrhaging cash from wound number 3. And this one might be the most expensive mistake in corporate history, because Disney Plus was supposed to be the Netflix killer, the streaming service that would dominate entertainment and secure Disney's future. Instead, it became an $11 billion black hole. When Disney Plus launched in November 2019, the hype was massive. Disney had the most valuable content library on Earth: Marvel, Star Wars, Pixar, National Geographic. Analysts predicted Disney would crush Netflix within 5 years. And at first it looked like they were right. Disney Plus hit 10 million subscribers on day 1. By 2022, they'd reached 164 million subscribers worldwide. Victory, right? Wrong, because Disney forgot one tiny detail. Streaming isn't profitable. Between 2019 and 2023, Disney's streaming division lost over $11 billion. That's billion with a B. They were hemorrhaging roughly $4 billion per year trying to compete with Netflix. And unlike Netflix, which finally turned profitable in 2023, Disney Plus is still losing money. Here's why. To attract subscribers, Disney spent obscene amounts on content, over $30 billion on streaming shows and movies between 2020 and 2024. They greenlit expensive Marvel shows like She-Hulk and Secret Invasion. Most got canceled after 1 season. They dumped billions into Star Wars content. Willow? Canceled. The Acolyte? Canceled after $180 million spent on 1 season. But the real killer was theatrical cannibalization. Disney started dumping movies that should have gone to theaters straight onto Disney Plus. Soul, Luca, Turning Red, Encanto, films that could have made $400 to $600 million in theaters got thrown onto streaming for free. And subscribers did grow until they didn't. Disney Plus peaked at 164 million in early 2023, then started losing subscribers. Price hikes drove people away. Password sharing crackdowns alienated casual viewers. By late 2024, Disney Plus was down to around 150 million subscribers and falling. Meanwhile, the cost per subscriber kept rising. Disney was spending over $300 to acquire each new subscriber. But average revenue per user was only around $6 per month. Do the math. That's a disastrous business model. Netflix figured out profitability. They raised prices, cracked down on password sharing earlier, and greenlit cheaper reality content. Netflix is now making billions in profit annually while Disney Plus bleeds. One Wall Street analyst said, Disney bet the company on streaming and lost. Imagine spending $11 billion to lose subscribers. So, streaming is a disaster. The culture war alienated audiences, creative bankruptcy killed the magic. But at least the theme parks were still safe, right? The parks that print money that families save up for years to visit? Not anymore. 'Cause wound number 4 just killed Disney's golden goose. 'Cause Disney World used to be where middle-class families saved up for years to take their kids on a dream vacation. A place where magic was accessible if you worked hard and planned carefully. Now, a week at Disney World costs more than a European cruise, and families are done. Let's break down the insanity. A single-day ticket to Magic Kingdom in 2024 costs up to $189 per person during peak season. For a family of 4, that's $756 just to walk through the gates for one day. But it gets worse. Disney eliminated their free FastPass system and replaced it with Genie Plus. That's an additional $25 to $35 per person per day just to access shorter lines. For our family of 4, add another $100 to $140 per day. But wait, there's more. Individual Lightning Lane selections for the most popular rides like Seven Dwarfs Mine Train, those cost an extra $15 to $25 per person per ride. Want your kid to ride the new Guardians coaster without waiting 3 hours? That'll be $15 each. So a family of 4 riding 2 premium attractions pays another $120. Hotels? Disney's value resorts now start at $200 to $300 per night. Moderate resorts run $350 to $500. Deluxe resorts? $600 to $1,200 per night. And these aren't 5-star luxury hotels. They're themed motels with Disney branding. Food costs are equally brutal. A basic counter-service meal runs $15 to $25 per person. A hamburger and fries? $18. A bottle of water? $5.50. A family of 4 eating 3 meals a day spends $300 to $400 daily on food. Add it all up. A typical middle-class family visiting Disney World for 5 days spends roughly $8,000 to $12,000. That includes tickets, hotel, food, Genie Plus, and souvenirs. For many families, that's 2 months of mortgage payments, and that's without flights. The result? Attendance is dropping. Disney's theme park division reported declining attendance in 2023 and 2024. Customer satisfaction scores have plummeted. Online forums are filled with families saying, "We used to go every year, now we can't afford it." Disney parks used to operate on a simple promise: pay for admission, enjoy the magic. Now it's death by 1,000 upcharges. Pay for parking, pay for Lightning Lane, pay for after-hours events, pay, pay, pay. One travel blogger calculated that a family vacation to Universal Orlando costs 30 to 40% less than Disney, and Universal includes their Express Pass in deluxe hotel stays. Disney charges extra for everything. Poor families who just wanted to give their kids a magical memory. But if overpriced parks and streaming disasters were Disney's only problems, maybe they could recover. They won't. 'Cause wound number 5 cuts deeper than money. It's existential, and it might be irreversible. 'Cause the people who made Disney great, they're gone. And the replacements have no idea what made Disney magical in the first place. John Lasseter, the creative genius behind Pixar's Golden Age, was forced out in 2018. Whether justified or not, Disney lost the man who directed Toy Story and oversaw every Pixar masterpiece from 1995 to 2018. After he left, Pixar's creative output collapsed. Original films started flopping. Sequels became the default. The studio that revolutionized animation became a shadow of itself. But Lasseter's departure was just the beginning. Disney has hemorrhaged creative talent across every division. Veteran animators, Imagineers who designed the park's most beloved attractions, screenwriters who understood Disney's storytelling DNA, all gone. Retired, fired, or driven away by corporate restructuring. Star Wars is the most painful example. George Lucas sold Lucasfilm to Disney in 2012 for $4 billion, thinking his creation would be in safe hands. Instead, Disney put Kathleen Kennedy in charge, and she drove the franchise into the ground. The sequel trilogy divided the fan base so badly that millions of lifelong Star Wars fans refused to watch new content. The Rise of Skywalker was critically panned and underperformed. Recent shows like The Acolyte bombed so hard, Disney canceled it after spending $180 million on one season. What went wrong? Creative talent fled. The writers and directors who understood Star Wars mythology were sidelined. Corporate mandates replaced creative vision. Now, Star Wars, which used to be the most valuable franchise on Earth, is creatively bankrupt. Marvel faces the same crisis. After Avengers Endgame in 2019, Marvel entered Phase 4 and 5 with zero creative direction. Kevin Feige spread himself too thin, overseeing dozens of streaming shows and movies simultaneously. Quality control vanished. Phase 4 and 5 films averaged significantly lower scores than the Infinity Saga. Eternals, Ant-Man 3, The Marvels all flopped or underperformed. Behind the scenes, VFX artists reported brutal working conditions and impossible deadlines. Marvel was churning out so much content so fast that the people making it couldn't maintain quality. Talented artists left the industry entirely rather than work on another Marvel project. Meanwhile, Disney's corporate leadership is filled with executives from finance backgrounds, not creative visionaries. Bob Chapek came from Disney's Parks division and had zero creative experience. His tenure was a disaster. He got fired after just 2 years. Bob Iger returned in 2022, but the damage was done. One former Disney Imagineer said, "The Disney I joined believed magic came first, money followed. Now it's reversed. Every decision starts with spreadsheets, not stories." And that's the core problem. Disney lost its soul. The creative voices that made Disney special were replaced by corporate executives optimizing for quarterly earnings. You can't manufacture magic through algorithms and focus groups. They drove away the people who understood that. So Disney's creative engine is dead, their best talent gone, and their legacy franchises exhausted. But that's not even the most devastating wound. Because wound number 6 turns all of this from a rough patch into a terminal collapse. And this is the one that keeps Bob Iger up at night. Because in August 2021, Disney stock hit $201 per share. The company's market cap peaked at nearly $380 billion. Wall Street loved them. Investors believed Disney's streaming future and theme park dominance made them unstoppable. Today, Disney stock trades around $90 to $95 per share. Market cap collapsed to roughly $170 billion. That's over $200 billion in shareholder value evaporated in 3 years. And Wall Street has given up on Disney. The stock chart tells the story. A steady climb through 2021, then a cliff dive starting late 2021 and accelerating through 2022 to 2024. Every earnings call brought disappointment. Streaming losses mounting, park attendance declining, box office bombs piling up. Investors watched Disney's 5-year plan collapse in real time. Quarterly earnings became disasters. In Q4 2023, Disney reported that Disney Plus lost 1.3 million subscribers while costs remained sky high. The stock dropped 8% in a single day. In Q1 2024, theme park revenue came in below expectations, another 6% drop. Every quarter brought new evidence that Disney's turnaround wasn't happening. Wall Street analysts started downgrading Disney en masse. Morgan Stanley cut their price target from $120 to $90. JP Morgan downgraded from overweight to neutral, Bank of America / projections. The consensus shifted from Disney will recover to Disney is in serious trouble. But the real crisis came from activist investors. In early 2024, billionaire investor Nelson Peltz launched a proxy fight to gain seats on Disney's board. Peltz argued that Disney's leadership was incompetent and the streaming strategy had failed. He lost the vote, but the fight exposed how divided Disney's shareholders had become. Institutional investors were losing confidence in Bob Iger's ability to fix the company. Credit rating agencies took notice. While Disney hasn't been downgraded to junk status, analysts warned that continued losses and mounting debt could force downgrades. Disney currently carries over $40 billion in debt from acquisitions and streaming investments. If the company can't turn profitable soon, that debt becomes a crushing burden. Compare Disney's stock to competitors. Netflix hit new highs as they achieved profitability. Warner Bros. Discovery trades better than Disney relative to 2021 peaks. Universal's parent company Comcast has outperformed Disney. The market is saying Disney is uniquely troubled. One Wall Street analyst said bluntly, Disney bet the company on streaming and lost. Now they're stuck with massive debt, declining parks, and no clear path to profitability. That's not a turnaround story, that's a collapse. And here's why investor panic matters. When Wall Street loses faith, everything gets harder. Borrowing costs increase. Stock-based compensation loses value, making it harder to attract talent. Strategic flexibility disappears because investors demand immediate profitability. Disney is trapped. They need to spend money to fix their creative problems, but investors won't tolerate more losses. This is how empires end. Not with a bang, but with a slow suffocation as capital dries up and confidence evaporates. So there they are, 6 fatal wounds, all bleeding simultaneously. Creative bankruptcy, culture war alienation, streaming disaster, parks pricing death spiral, talent exodus, and Wall Street abandonment. Each wound alone is survivable. All 6 at once? That's terminal. Let's recap the carnage. Wound number 1, creative bankruptcy. Disney stopped making original stories and strip-mined their own legacy with failed remakes and exhausted sequels. Wound number 2, culture war suicide. They picked political fights, alienated half the country, and lost billions in goodwill. Wound number 3, the streaming disaster. Disney Plus hemorrhaged $11 billion trying to beat Netflix and failed. Wound number 4, parks pricing death spiral. They nickel and dimed families until middle-class visitors couldn't afford the magic anymore. Wound number 5, talent exodus. The creative geniuses who built Disney fled or were driven out, leaving corporate executives who don't understand storytelling. Wound number 6, Wall Street abandonment. Investors lost faith, the stock collapsed $200 billion, and financing Disney's future became nearly impossible. Each wound alone is survivable. All 6 at once? That's terminal. And here's the devastating part. These wounds compound each other. Creative bankruptcy leads to box office bombs, which accelerates streaming losses, which forces parks to raise prices, which drives away customers, which triggers Wall Street panic, which makes borrowing more expensive, which forces more cost-cutting, which drives away more talent, which kills creativity further. It's a death spiral. The total financial damage is staggering. Over $11 billion lost in streaming. $200 billion in market cap evaporated. Billions more in box office underperformance. Parks revenue declining year over year. Disney has destroyed more value in 5 years than most companies generate in their entire existence. Some analysts compare Disney's collapse to Blockbuster refusing to adapt to streaming, or Sears failing to compete with Amazon. But Disney's failure is different. They saw the problems coming. They had the resources to fix them. They chose not to. Every wound was self-inflicted through arrogance, greed, or incompetence. Could Disney recover? Theoretically, yes. Fire the entire executive team, bring in creative leadership, cancel Disney Plus or sell it off, slash theme park prices to win back families, apologize for the culture war nonsense, and refocus on entertainment, invest in original storytelling, give creative talent autonomy again. But here's why it won't happen. Disney's corporate structure makes bold moves impossible. The board prioritizes quarterly earnings over long-term health. They're carrying $40 billion in debt. Activist investors demand immediate profitability. Any CEO who tries radical restructuring would be fired before they could finish. Bob Iger, who returned as CEO in 2022, is 73 years old. He's admitted he doesn't have a succession plan. He's trying to cut costs and squeeze profitability from dying businesses instead of rebuilding the creative foundation. That's not a turnaround, that's managed decline. The harsh reality? Disney's best days are behind them. The company that defined childhood for 3 generations is now a cautionary tale about what happens when creativity dies and corporate greed takes over. In 5 years, Disney lost 53% of its stock value, billions in streaming, and the trust of millions of families. That's not a rough patch, that's a collapse. And here's what hurts the most. For millions of us, Disney was childhood. I grew up with The Lion King, Aladdin, and Beauty and the Beast. My first trip to Disney World at age 7 felt like stepping into another dimension where anything was possible. The castle wasn't just a building, it was proof that magic existed. That Disney is gone, and it's not coming back. The Disney of the 1990s represented something bigger than entertainment. It stood for quality you could trust. When you saw the Disney logo, you knew your kids would be safe, inspired, and treated to something genuinely special. Families saved for years to afford a Disney vacation because it was worth it. The magic was real because Disney cared about delivering it. Current Disney? It's a cash extraction machine wearing the corpse of a beloved brand. Every decision is optimized for quarterly profits. Every interaction is an upsell. Every beloved IP gets recycled until audiences stop caring. The magic isn't gone because they lost the formula. It's gone because they stopped caring about it. Kids growing up today won't have the same relationship with Disney that we did. They'll remember overpriced theme parks, mediocre remakes, and movies their parents argued about politically. They'll associate Disney with disappointment, not wonder. That's the real tragedy. And the worst part? Disney's collapse was completely avoidable. In 2019, Disney was on top of the world. Avengers Endgame made $2.8 billion. Disney Plus was launching with massive hype. The parks were packed. Star Wars still had potential. They had everything. 5 years later, it's rubble. All because executives chose short-term greed over long-term stewardship. They chose political posturing over universal entertainment. They chose algorithm-driven content over creative risk. They chose to become just another corporation instead of remaining Disney. In January 2025, Disney stock sits at $93. The company announced another round of layoffs, more price hikes, and renewed focus on profitability. Bob Iger talks about creative excellence in earnings calls while canceling original projects and greenlighting another live-action remake. The wounds keep bleeding. Can Disney survive? Probably. Big corporations are hard to kill completely. But the Disney that mattered, the Disney that shaped childhoods and created magic, that's already dead. What's left is just a portfolio of IP being monetized into irrelevance. The Magic Kingdom has become a cautionary tale, a reminder that no brand is too beloved to destroy through arrogance and greed. And yeah, some people still hope for a turnaround, some miracle that brings the magic back. But hope doesn't pay back $40 billion in debt or win back a generation of families you've already lost. And if you thought Disney's collapse was shocking, wait till you see what's happening to Netflix's competitors. From Warner Bros. Discovery's $40 billion merger disaster to Paramount's fire sale, the streaming wars are destroying everyone. Click here and let's break down the carnage.